in as well, although it looks like more a case of friendly fire rather than fire on the German troops. MT-42 providing covering fire on the defenders, forcing them to pull back. And what is this? An LMG-42? A odd choice, certainly not what I would have gone with. Probably not going to aid them at all, in fact. MG-42 pulling back though, apparently. Oh dear, an entire airborne team completely blown up, either by artillery fire or mortar fire. I'm not entirely sure. No, it looks like it was mortar fire from this mortar team. Heavily damaged, wounded, and only 2 men left, but they are still doing their duty to the fatherland and providing mortar support. 30 cal heavy machine gun firing away at these stormtroopers, having them completely pinned as riflemen and whatnot firing away. But looks like the advantage is definitely in the Germans' hands. The Americans just steadily chipping away, but not able to push through. The loss is too heavy during every counter-attack, and with that German gone, any hard-hitting units being completely out of the picture. Artillery might mitigate the situation, but not sure they have the artillery fire to actually push through anymore. And certainly not the coordination to coordinate such barrages. A single artillery barrage here could certainly do a lot to turn the tide, but I don't think there is any artillery ready. And what is this? A plane was shot down, I hear, from the Ostwind. Not sure where though. Too bad. Always fun to see planes crashing down, but you can't always have everything. And the Tiger is knocked down. Was it by an anti-tank gun or perhaps a mortar round? One will never know. And in fact, I recall one story of a King Tiger which was knocked out because a mortar round hit its exhaust pipe during Operation Market Garden. And oh dear, mortar rounds hitting in on the central victory point, doing a lot of damage. Only one heavily wounded stormtrooper left. One single shot more and he might be blown up. But that was apparently it of the artillery barrage. MG-42 and Grenadiers moving in to cover this area. Dual LMG-42s and these Grenadiers. Certainly a lot of munitions, and certainly a waste of munitions if you ask me. Not going to be able to do much. But there you go. Ostwind charging in ahead and miss, hitting a mine and being hit from the rear. Clearing out this howitzer though. And we see another rocket barrage going in, completely clearing out this last line of emplacements and defenses for the Americans. The last... Now there's only these outpost MG-42s right at the base to protect them, and even that might not be enough to hold back the German troops. The Panzer Lehr having turned the tide and forced back the 28th Infantry Division in a long series of battles around the outskirts of Duclair. Certainly a lot going on. And what is this? An MG-42 equipped troops moving in, firing away at these riflemen and not really doing any damage, though the actual rifles doing something more than the LMG-42s. And now in fact getting suppressed and forced to pull back with barely any damage done to these riflemen.
The enemy advances.
Certainly good evidence of the lack of firepower from the LMG-42. Americans making for one last focused counterattack in the south, taking back this victory point. Barely any victory points left for them though. Mortar fire raining in, anti-tank gun slowly creeping forward, ready to take out any German armor.
The enemy has 50
Pumas on the field, apparently in larger numbers. Not much infantry left, so or armor left, so not much use for anything else than Pumas, I suspect, or at least that's their theory. M10 charging in though. Off-map combat group, I suspect, but the M10 is taking a lot of fire from all sides, trying to take out this Ostwind, but has exposed itself and is now behind enemy lines with no infantry support. M10 is heavily damaged, might be knocked out any second, but quickly makes it back to friendly lines. But looks like the Americans are not able to penetrate through to the central victory point. The German cordon too heavy, too much machine gun fire and firepower in general, halting any assault at heavy losses, and no medic stations again to actually do something about all of this, and the attrition suffered. So what will be the American plan now? Will they try for one vast assault? Will they hope to be able to inch their way close enough to the victory point? I'm not sure, but they have to hurry. Not many victory points left, and it certainly looks like it will not be in the Americans' favor unless they can pull off quite the impressive blow and knock out all of this in one fell swoop. Then they might just barely have a chance, but no such luck. Instead, we see another rocket barrage going right in on this position, knocking out plenty of infantry and support weapons. Several anti-tank guns completely wrecked, only leaving behind this crew which is pinned. Not liking all of these rockets going in on them. And we see another rifleman team completely lost to the German fire, and the Americans just seem to be slowly pushed back with every German counterattack. And I don't think there's going to be much left for the Americans to do at this moment. They have simply suffered too heavily and run too much attrition. And there we hear GG going out from all the remaining players. Cheezeburglar, of course, having left some time ago for unknown reasons. And we see grenades being tossed back and forth. Stormtroopers suffering heavily. 6 points left for the Americans. Apparently intend to hold out to the bitter end. And what is this? A small attempt by engineers to move to the north, but are quickly stopped by Austrian fire, and of course the Flak 88 and MG42 as well, and are quickly forced back. Riflemen sneaking about in the south, and there we go. Game over. The 28th Infantry Division did not manage a victory at Duclair. Instead, the Panzer Lehr's remaining battalions were able to hold back and in fact cause grievous harm to the American troops. So what can we learn from this? Well, for starters, mine placement can really make a difference. Notice how many attacks were simply floundered because of all these mines that Helliar had laid down in the north, and of course it meant that he could in fact free up troops to the south by slowly as time went on. Of course, another thing is of course teamwork. Teamwork can make difference. Coordinating attacks again. The Americans, for the most part, in fact, held this entire area until Helliar finally gotten around to support his comrade, turning the tide in the center and forcing back the Americans. Another thing, of course, being don't move in tanks unsupported, keep them supported. Of course, dashing in for some sort of target of opportunity can be nice, but again, you should be considered carefully on how to do so. The Americans themselves could have benefited by laying down mines, further medic stations, of course, to minimize the attrition even further, because that is what really got the Americans here. I feel attrition, overwhelming attrition. And of course, supply yards getting as many upgrades is of course also good, in particular with the next patch. But I hope you enjoyed this match, and if you did, why not subscribe? This is Imperial Dane saying this was very, very bloody.